Can you hear me in the back? You never really know, but I'm pretty sure we are streaming live, unannounced. One of my New Year's resolutions, if you will. Can you hear me in the back? All right, that's on. Is to schedule some of these live jams and make this more of a regular thing. So know that I've been dreaming into that. Much of my dreams are configured to the living sky and my visual connection with it. And that has not been happening here in California, where in the Bay we are getting serious rain. I mean, reservoir is finally getting filled. It has been so long since we've had big rains like this. I saw my first sunset the other day for like 3 weeks, I think, and then not yesterday, although I was able last night to connect with Jupiter for just a little bit, and also with Mars. I've got something in my calendar for this Friday when Venus or Jupiter is at 0 degrees declination, and therefore will rise exactly due east and set exactly due west. And I want to take a picture of that Jupiter set, and I don't know that that's happening here. So anyway, some of my resolutions I think need to be massaged by the visions of the sky, and that will be opening soon. I am involved in some things coming up, like a 2023 astrology panel with the NCGR San Francisco board, of which I am the president. I'm really looking forward to that. But by the way, actually, let me show you an image of where you can find that if you would like to join us. We do that for free via Zoom video. So ncgrsanfrancisco.org will let you know all of the monthly guest teachers that we have. We feature a different teacher every month: Laura Nabaldian in February, and Tom Jacobs in March, Adam Summer in April. Like, always have wonderful teachers come through. We also do a monthly community discussion first Friday every month at 3:30 p.m. The next one on Friday, February 3rd, 3:30, fun. So I want to speak with you a little bit about number play today. So come join us, ncgrsanfrancisco.org. You can register for free. We're going to be raffling off sessions with the 5 of us that are presenting that day, who are myself, Steve Pincus, Michelle Dench, Greg Nell, and Karen LaPuma. I'm excited about Steve's presentation and all of these presentations, but Steve is going to be speaking about the ingress charts of the year, beginning as Uranian astrology. It's kind of his specialty, often does, with the Capricorn ingress, so when the sun moved into Capricorn. And at that time, Jupiter was right at the kind of 0 Aries point. Uranian astrology is very interested in these points on the dial that configure to the zeros, like 0 Aries and 0 Cancer, 0 Libra, 0 Capricorn. And I've wondered in some ways, is this Jupiter bringing the rain? You know, interestingly, when we consider Jupiter either in the sidereal zodiac or constellationally right now, Jupiter is very much configured in the sign of the fish, right? I mean, the Hellenistic astrologers, who I read often, were using really 2 zodiacs. They were using a tropical zodiac and configured to Earth's directions, as I love to teach and remind, the 0 degrees of the cardinal signs, literally aligned to Earth's cardinal directions as defined by her spine, our rotational axis. But they were also using constellational awareness too. Like Geminos, a great Hellenistic astronomer, for example, spoke about like the 12th part signs, right? 12 equal divisions of the ecliptic, the sun's path, but also like constellation signs. So in my work, like, I know this place is Aries, but also fish. And it's that fish bit, like, was it Vedius Valens actually describes Aries in regards to like floods and water. It's like, wait a second, isn't that like water signs? But this is why. Because, I mean, even since back then, like 0 Aries back in the Hellenistic era was here at the tail of the fish. So I teach this often in my sacred astronomy class, like the reason why the stories of that time talk to us about these fishes tied together has a lot to do with forming this constellation in the shape of the Aries glyph. Okay, but I digress. I wanted to speak today a little bit about number magic and calendar kung fu, numerology. Is it something that you use? Do you look at the clock and see numbers jump off at you? Or are there times in the calendars that excite you for some reason? Are you getting ready for 11/11 on 11/11 or whatever it may be? Interestingly, in the Maya calendar now, in the Solkin, as it was called in one of the Mayan languages, today is an 11 day. It is 11 Reed or 11 Ben in the Yucatec language. And here we are on January 11th, right? So actually I cast this chart for 11:11 a.m., which has already swung by. I was in a session at the time, interestingly here locally at 11:11 a.m., the 11th degree of Aries. Some would say the 11th degree of the zodiac was rising. And we see Mercury here at 11:38 with 3 plus 8, 11. You know, it's a fun thing as well, because let's say like 1/11/23, if we give that kind of American expression of the Gregorian calendar date that is today, right? January 11th, 2023. Of course, most places in the world say, wait a second, a day is shorter than a month, is shorter than a year. So it's the 11th of January of 2023. So 11/1/23, right? But I'm going to speak 1/11/23. And I'm even just tuning in at first maybe to 11/23. 23 has been like a really important awakening number for me and for many. I was actually at this time in my life, which was in 2011, I was reading Robert Anton Wilson's The Cosmic Trigger, Volume 1, amazing, magical, mystical book. And he speaks about the power of the number 23 in synchronicity. And it just really came in for me, and it has for so many. You know, it's odd, like it happened like kind of according to this time. I see some folks are here live. I'd love to know, has 23 been a guiding light in your life at all? So I remember before this time, I was really seeing 10/24 on the clockaton. That's, you know, from the kind of American approach to the Gregorian calendar, resonant with my birth date, which is October 24th, 1975. And then it shifted to 10/23. And then 23 was just showing up all over the place. And then 11/23 became really important for me, or just it was happening all over. And it took me some time to realize, wait a second, if we do like 24-hour time, then 23 is 11 p.m., right? So in some ways, like 23/11 is like 11/11, right? You know, so I was interested in that. So today I just kind of looked at the calendar, which for me typically happens when I'm like doing readings. It's like, oh, what's my schedule? And we're using this weird Gregorian thing, although I'm also very interested in teaching ways to shift our awareness of time and aligning us to more of a harmonic, cyclical sun-moon calendar. More about that another time. But I'm looking at this thing, it's like, okay, like 1/11/23, cool. Because these numbers have been so important for me. Actually, I have some shoes downstairs that were hand painted, and one of them has 11 written on it and the other has 23 written on it. There's another thing we can do, which is if we add the month and the day in this particular calendar of January, so 1 and 11, we get 12. And then if we add the numbers of the year, 2023, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 is 7. And I get really excited about 12 and 7. Amazingly, on December 7th, 2022, there was a Mars occultation, which I was very happy to be able to see here in the local skies back in the time when California was dry. Why do I get excited about 12 and 7? Well, 12 signs and 7 planetas, 7 wandering lights, right? Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, right? And these are the 7 days of the week, the 7 alchemical metals, and we go on to the 7, which is a very mysterious number. One of the reasons why is it does not divide into 12 equally, as the numbers before it do, besides 5, but 5 can divide a circle into equal parts, while 7 cannot. 7 is this number of the mystery. But in astrology, we get 7 planets and 12 signs. And so when I play with the numbers today of 111 or 11-1 if you prefer, that's a 12. 2023, that's a 7. I get to play with 12 signs and 7 planets. I might combine them, 12 and 7, to get 19, which you might know as the Sun card in most tarot decks. And 19 is the number of years, solar years, golden years, required for the rhythms of Earth and Sun. That's the rhythm of gold. And the rhythms of Earth, Moon, and Sun, silver, to synchronize. 19 years, 235 lunations. Fun in that 235 that the tilt angle of the Earth is about 23.5 degrees. So Sun, Moon, and Earth kind of all align in this great cycle that these days we usually refer to as the Metonic cycle, after the Greek astronomer Meton, even though it's was well known before then, like many calendar kung fus are aligned in such a way where this 19-year period will show us where, again, the cycles of silver and gold converge or synchronize. So like if you're keeping time so that your months are aligned to the phases of the moon, you typically shift your months between 29 days and 30 days because the lunation is about 29 and a half days long. And that gives you 12 months of 300, which equal 354 days. So you're about 11, there's that number again, days shy of the golden year of 365 and about a quarter days long, right? So every third year, that separation gets to about 33, interesting, days, and you throw in a leap month. But your leap months can only be either 29 or 30 to keep the phases of the moon aligned to your month, your moons. And the way that everything synchronizes is that over the course of 19 years, you have 12 years of 12 moons and 7 years of 13 moons. So 12 and 13 are fun to bring in this too, in some ways solar and lunar numbers, but dig that, the 19 itself is divided into 12 and 7. So once again, with like January 11th of a 7-year, a chariot year, 2023, absolutely intrigues me today. And then it's pretty rare for the Gregorian calendar day, like today being an 11, to coincide with Maya time. So in the Zolkin, to use the Yucatec term, today is 11 Ben, or 11 Reed. This is what Mayan Magics has to say about it. I dig this website. It's kind of an easy place, mayanmagic.com, to go find out the day time at the time of your birth. And to just read kind of a quick transmission of what it has to say. I would encourage you always to look at the voice of many, okay? A good day to bless or repair your house. Actually, I've got to do a little bit of the latter and might as well do some of the former. So I'm just loving to see this 11 come through. And I wonder, and again, I see some of you are here live, so I'd love to see what you'd write in the comments. Or if you're watching this in a time that I currently perceive as the future, please do leave a comment on this video. And I would, of course, always appreciate it if you'd give the video a like and share it around. I'm going to read a few of the things that came in. But my big question today is, how much do you play number games? Do you add dates together and look at the synchronicities therein? Are you led around by strange numbers that appear on clocks and license plates and whatnot? Tim, I see that you say it's not 23 for you, but 32. intriguing. The other side of 5, if you will, 1054 AD, Russia kicked out the West, is written here in the comments. I'm not sure what that refers to, but would love to hear more. I see a comment from you also later, C. Dento, that says 7-11 are non-conformists to 12-360. But 7 plus 11 equals 18, which is a 9, which is transformation. Cool. So there's an answer that says I play with numbers. And let's get into that. So some of the number magic traditions call 7 and 11 the first two virgins. I mean, interestingly, in the English language, they're the only two numerals between 1 and 12, because 0 is not a number, friends, that require more than one syllable to speak. Play that game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12. Okay, but 7 and 11 require 2 and 3. Oh, there's that 23 syllables respectively. And they are the two numbers between 0 and 12, or 1 and 12, that cannot divide a circle of 360 degrees evenly. Do that on the calculator, like 360 over 7 and 360 over 11. And you'll see that 11 in some senses is like trying to comply. I'll just leave that there for now. Where the 7 in no way is. It's an endless number with everything but 3, 6, and 9 in it. But it's a really intriguing thing to see. And that for me, in my own works in astrology, like with harmonics, for example, actually that feels like a cool time to look in this regard at this time chart that I have on the screen and see perhaps what the 7s and 11s have to say at this time. So let's get to a grid. And we see that Venus is like almost in a perfect septile. So 1/7 of the circle with Jupiter. Mars is in a biseptile, so 2/7 of the circle. It's about 103 degrees with Saturn. We have Uranus septile, Neptune. Pluto biseptile, the north node. Chiron triseptile, the south node. Saturn biseptile, the south node. Moon triseptile, the local ascendant at 11:11 a.m. So I don't know how much I'm going to fall into that one, but intriguing. Okay. These U's here are 11s. Undeciles they're called. So there's a very strong Chiron Uranus undecile, for example. Lilith has a bunch of undeciles. That's intriguing. Pluto. Those are the ones that I would typically go to for this, but I see, that the 7 is like our connection to that which we cannot connect with, like the far out, the strange, almost kind of Uranian realms, where the 11s help us bring the far out into this world. And I see that kind of in a very different way expressed by the few astrologers, at least in the West, who have explored these divisional charts, to use terms from a different tradition, and harmonic or vibrational aspects. I often see that kind of work with the 7 and 11s show up. So thanks, C. Dento, for inspiring that jam. Here's an interesting comment from Scott. Skull and Bones. They seem to be fond of the number 322, the spring equinox. They also like 33. Many of the mystery traditions do. Yeah, I don't know about that 322. It is interestingly like in digital roots, it is a 7, right? 3 plus 2 plus 2 equals 7. And I don't think I should go into places I don't understand or that I'm terrified of. So let's check out 99 Year Bud. This is my lucky day. I've been waiting forever for you to remind me why 1123 is significant. I first heard you speak of it way back in your very first online astrology class. Oh, cool. That's fun. Well, 1123, I can say that 23 is 11 p.m. in 24-hour time. But very importantly, 1123 are, some would say, the second through the fifth. Some would say the first 4 numbers of the Fibonacci sequence. So that works. Most start with 0 and then 1 as the first two numbers of the sequence. And then to get the next number of the Fibonacci sequence, you add the previous two. So 0 plus 1 is 1. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 8 is 13. The Fibonacci sequence, like 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89. It keeps going. And it's a very amazing sequence that shows itself in nature in many ways. And it's a very important sequence because when you take any number of the sequence and divide it by the previous number, you get towards the golden number phi or tau. It's about 1.618. That's like too long of a journey to take right now, but I really encourage you to look into the Fibonacci sequence and how it relates to the golden mean, the golden ratio, the golden number. I'll just say when I write that sequence, I do not start with 0. I'll say the 0 is on the far right side of your keyboard, not the left side, for a very important reason. So I like 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, etc. And maybe first and foremost, that's like the power of 1123 for me. For me, the Tarot, we're in the 7th card year, says Sylvia. Yeah, right on, Sylvia. And I know, as I mentioned before, this kind of Astrology of 2023 panel that I'm on with NCGR, sanfrancisco.org, with some fellow board members. Karen LaPuma, who's created her own Tarot deck and written about it. She studied here locally with Angelus Arians, who many people will be familiar with. She wrote a book called the Tarot Handbook, which is a very light and kind of angelic side of Crowley's deck, right? It feels a little bit different than perhaps what Aleister Crowley maybe would have said about the cards that Lady Frida Harris painted at his behest. But regardless, one of the things in that Tarot handbook is really working with the digital root of the calendar year, like 2023 is 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 is a 7, or working with, like your birth date, including the day and the month. So like today of 1/11/2023, we would do 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3, which is 10. I do that right? Yeah. 3 plus 7 is 10. And then the 10 can reduce further. 1 plus 0 is 1. So like 10 would be the personality and 1 the soul. All right. So like that's a kind of a cool numerological approach. And in this, we can also see this movement through years. So 2022, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2 is a 6 year, and an Angelus Arian then will work with that in resonance with the Lover's card, which is the 6th of the major arcana cards of most decks. And then 7 this year, a Chariot, a year of change, and a card or that's associated, at least since Golden Dawn times, with the sign of Cancer, interestingly. So how does all that come in? So I'm looking forward to hearing Karen's transmission around that in our coming panel. I hope you sign up. It's free. Go to ncgrsanfrancisco.org. I love this one. I played number games all day long. I hear you. Moved house and always look at the address. 15 is a 6. I play with numbers. 11 on the clock, 21 last night. Married at 23 years old, left at 42. Divorce signed at 46, which of course is twice 23. Sounds like on Valentine's Day. Yep, 11 on the clock, says Sylvia. 7-11, right on. Love working with numbers in different ways, messages from guides when creating herbal medicines, engaging with rituals and ceremony, working with personality and soul numbers based on teachings. Right on. Okay, cool. Well, your assignment, should you choose to accept it, friends, is go play even more with numbers today. And I'd encourage you to go look at some of the different calendar expressions of your birth date. What was the date in the Hebrew calendar? What might that mean? go to many different calendars, yeah? So the Mayan calendars and whatnot. I would say in that regard, like, be careful that the dream spell calendar is not the Mayan calendar. That doesn't mean it's not a thing, like not worth a peek or whatever, but I appreciate going to some of the, well, to the older systems. Okay. Anyway, good to see you. Thanks for joining me spontaneously for a bit of a live thing. Again, a New Year's, but what's New Year's? Resolution for me is to find ways to be live like this more periodically, so you can join me in some kind of less chaotic scheduling, and I hope to see you there once that happens. If you are on my mailing list, certainly you will be hearing about that. So if you are not, please join me there. GeminiBrett.com is where you can find me and sign up for the list and other things. Gemini Brett with twin T's, of course, Gemini T's. See you in space.